Okay guys, so this video is just an overview of all the constructions you need to know for transformations unit. So we're going to start with the perpendicular bisector. Once we have our compass up, we can start at either point A or B of our line segment. So I'll start at A. If you start at B, it's fine. The big thing is that when you extend your compass, where your pencil should be is at least more than halfway. If you're not more than halfway, we're not going to get an intersection above and below the line segment, and then we'll have an issue trying to create that perpendicular bisector. So we can make our arc below and above. The big thing is you do need two intersections, so you do have to go above and below. Once I'm done doing that arc at point A, I can repeat the process at point B. And notice I never changed the size of my compass, but once you have two arcs, we would just draw a line segment that would run through both intersections. So I missed my mark a little bit, so I'll just slide mine over. Yours will be a little bit easier to run that through. And remember, we talked about it in class, big thing you need to know is that there need to be arrows. Okay, perpendicular bisector is a line segment, so it does need the arrows on both sides. But that's already done, that's our perpendicular bisector. To create a line of reflection, we'd still create another perpendicular bisector. So for this here, think about our line of reflections, the line in between, like if I folded over these two shapes onto each other, mapping them onto each other would have a line right in between. So just like bisect, it's going to be in the middle. So first you would have to draw a line segment. Now you can draw a line segment from any point. You can go from these points, from these points, from these points, as long as it's a point that would map onto each other. So I'm just going to pick the ones that are closest together. And I'll switch my point up a little bit. But once I have a line here, we would, oops, same idea, just line up my point. I'm going to make mine a little bit closer to my mark here. And again, same thing, more than halfway. If you went the whole distance, that's fine, but as long as you're halfway, you'll get your intersection, and as long as you don't change the size of your compass from either endpoint of these shapes, we are good to go. Once we would have that, we would draw in a perpendicular bisector, and again, same thing, we're going to give it lines. We're going to give it arrows. Okay, so that is our perpendicular bisector constructions. Now, what's new for us is we have a point of rotation we want to find. And you guessed it, we're going to do the same construction, only we're going to do it from two different points. So when I do it for the first one here, I'm going to connect two corresponding points like F to F prime. And from here, I'm going to start at either point, F or F prime, and extend more than halfway. We're going to be doing the same construction we just did. I'm just going to change up my color so we can see a little bit better. But when I make this arc here, I repeat that process at F prime. And there's my first perpendicular bisector. Now we just talked about a perpendicular bisector being like a line of reflection, so it's not enough to be the point that I want. So right now, while it's my line, I don't exactly want this whole line. I just know somewhere on this line is going to be the center of rotation for my shape. So I'm going to pick any other two corresponding points, like A and A prime. Now if you picked B prime and B, D prime and D, any corresponding points will work. Now I'll change up my color of my compass just so we can kind of get a clear view of where that's going to lie, because it is going to get a little bit messy that they overlap. But again, same rules, you want to be more than halfway. I might want to extend a little bit more to be safe, but I'll make, oops, just undo that. I'll make my arc above and below. And I will do the same at A. And now with that different color, I'm able to see. It might be a little hard to see on your paper when you're practicing this because of the overlap. That's okay. But we're going to run through that intersection And we're going to give my arrows here. And really the point we're looking for is the point that those two drawn in bisectors meet, which happens to be right here. That's my center of rotation because it's where the two perpendicular bisectors meet. Now this works from any two pairs of corresponding points that you choose. Now, when I'm looking at this next screen here, we have a constructive rotation of 180 degrees of the segment AB about point A. So remember things we know about 180 degrees, it's a straight line. We also know it's half of a circle. So the nice thing here is that we're using point A. So by using point A, that is a point on the line segment. That point's not going to change. The center of rotation is not going to move at all during these, but I'll extend the full length. And now remember, with our constructions, we always go in a counterclockwise motion. If I can just extend this out a little bit more, there we go. And I'm going to go 180 degrees now. It's like having half a circle, so I want to go all the way around. The nice, easy way to do this is to just now connect your line. We know a straight line is 180 degrees, so if I start at B and draw through A, I'll eventually find that intersection. That intersection is what we're going to now label B prime. Because B prime always reflects the image, and you'll see like A doesn't change, so if you wanted to call it A prime, you could. We don't have to call anything new, but if we think about our construction here, anytime you construct 180 degrees rotation around a line with a point on the line, it's just going to create that same line. It's just going to extend further out. Now, with 5 here, we have construct a rotation of 180 degrees when the point's not on the line. So it's going to take a little bit more steps, but same process. So we're going to start with either point, but we always start with our center of rotation as the clear piece in our compass. So our clear spot of our compass, our point should always be on the point P. So once we're on that point P, we'll extend. I'm just going to extend so I can see my turn here, but we want to extend to either point C or D. Doesn't matter which one you choose to start with because we're going to do it from both points anyway. So if I start with C here, I'll get a little bit closer in. I'm going to go in a counterclockwise motion. Now remember, same rule, we want to go 180 degrees, so you want a big arc. But now, 180 degrees we know is a straight line, we know is half a circle. So same thing, we're going to go from D through P until we run through that arc, and that arc here we're going to label that my D prime. Once I have that point, we're done for D prime. We're just going to repeat the process for C prime. So I'm just going to do the same thing I just did. Start at P, extend through to C, and once I get there, I'm going to go same counterclockwise motion around, half a circle, so a larger arc. But once we have that, we will go from C through P to intersecting with my arc, and that point is my C prime. Now that I have those two intersections, I have 2 points, so I can make a line, and I will draw that line segment from T prime to C prime. Now I don't want to extend further in this case because we started with a segment, we should end with a segment. But we should notice these two segments are parallel. So when you can perform a construction that's 180 degrees around a point not on the line, we end up making a parallel line. Last type of construction you need to know, let me just pull my window over a little bit. I'm going to unlock this. So from constructing 60 degrees around this triangle here, and I'm just going to lock this back in place so that we don't have an issue. It's a similar construction to what we just made. Remember, we used the equilateral triangle to help us. So I'm going to take my construction. I'm just going to use color so we can tell which one's which. Same as what we just did. We're going to start at the center of rotation always, and you pick any point to start from. In this case, I'll start with point A. So once I start from A here, I'm going to do a construction. Now I'm only doing 60 degrees, so I don't have to worry about going as far as before, but whatever you feel comfortable doing. Counterclockwise. Once I'm done, I go to point A, and I just find the intersection. that's already done. That's my first part, and that's going to be what we call A prime in this case, where they intersect. Okay, now you're already done with the first point, so we're just going to repeat the process for B and C. It doesn't matter which order we do them in, but we always start clear piece on D, extend through, and when we do that here, I'm going to make my arc and extend it out. Pick up my compass, clear piece now at C, the point we were using, and all I need to show is this arc of intersection, and now that's going to be C prime. Okay. Last one, if I go to finish this off, I'm going to go from D again. Clear piece always starts at D. We're going to move our compass around so that we coincide with B. We want to lie here. Once I'm on point B, I draw my counterclockwise arc. I pick my compass up so clear piece is at B. And I find my intersection, so that last intersection is going to be our B prime. And the only thing left to finish this construction off is to make sure we draw in our line segments connecting our new primes, because we want to always maintain the size and the angle measure, so shape is included in that, because if we're using a rotation here, we are rigid motion that preserves length and angle measure. Okay, hopefully this helps prepare you for your transformations test. This is all the constructions you should know. Have a great day.